Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Walk and Talk, the dog training podcast that enables me to come along with you on your dog walk and talk all things dog in your ear whilst you get out and about in what is hopefully glorious sunshine. Not too hot, a little bit of mild cloud cover perhaps, but absolutely no rain. Thank you very much. Happy days. So today I want to talk about something that is a really ridiculously common problem for dog owners everywhere. So very common, in fact. It afflicts my next door neighbour constantly. I know this because I can hear it all the time. And that is the noisy, constantly watching and waiting for the next thing to bark at dogs that are hypervigilant in their own homes all the time. So if your dog barks at every little sound, like footsteps in the hallway, the postie's van, a door slamming 3 streets away, or even just a leaf gently brushing against the window pane, and they just never seem to be able to fully switch off and relax, this might be the most important thing you hear today, because here's the truth. I wish more dog owners knew. In this situation, the barking isn't actually the problem. It's a problem for you, of course it is, because it's irritating. But for your dog, it's just a symptom. And in this episode, we're going to explore exactly why that is through the lens of canine neuroscience behavior and the idea of emotional safety. I'm going to walk you through the brain systems at play, what your dog is actually experiencing when they're constantly on edge, and most importantly, what you can do to truly help them switch off. Because your basic bitch trainer will talk to you about teaching an off switch, like teaching a quiet cue, which, yes, to a minimal degree, is an okay, completely valid piece of advice. But it's kind of like giving someone a painkiller when really we know they need surgery. If we actually just put our big girl pants on and dive into doing the work at the source of the problem, we're not going to then have to keep medicating all the little side effects of the problem that keep cropping up, because ultimately we have solved the problem. I hope that makes sense. So if you haven't already, get your lead on your dog, get your boots on, and let's head out for a walk so we can chat about this in detail. So first of all, I want you to recognize that incessant barking that we're talking about here is absolutely the smoke, not the fire. Now, I know that when a dog barks at everything, sound after sound, even things you can't even hear, it can feel really frustrating. I know this at a personal level, as I've already mentioned, because actually I live next door to a dog like this. And even though it's kind of frustrating that truly, if I just do so much as breathe in my garden and he catches an earful of it over the fence, he will explode, even from inside his house. He doesn't even need to be in the garden. And it won't just be a cursory little warning woof. It is an explosion. But I also hate it for him because I can hear the stress state that he is in. And to me, the hyped up state of his nervous system is literally, it's palpable. And honestly, I feel really sorry for the little dude. But the point I want to make is, whilst to us, we can feel like they're overreacting. Of course they are. It's just the neighbour in her garden breathing. They're clearly overreacting, or they're just being really stubborn, or they're trying to wind us up. None of that is true at all. What's really happening is that their nervous system is stuck in this state of hypervigilance. If you imagine your dog's brain is like a radar dish, right? Constantly spinning, scanning, listening, interpreting. Their amygdala, the brain's alarm bell, if you like, is tuned high, always expecting threat, and every little sound or shift in the environment sets off a mild red alert. Then there's another one. Then there's another one. Until their day is just one long string of alerts and overreactions. This is what we call a dysregulated nervous system, and it is exhausting for them and for you. Now, like I said up top, you might be tempted to reach for obedience or control in these moments. You're like, quiet, settle, enough, shut up. Maybe some swear words, maybe even some corrections. But here's the problem: you absolutely cannot logic your way out of a stress state. Trying to train calmness in a dysregulated dog is like trying to tell a smoke alarm to relax. It's not choosing or deciding to go off, it's literally just reacting or responding to what it perceives as a threat. So, in this episode, we're going to shift our focus away from stopping barking and move toward building a calmer internal world for your dog. Now, to do that, we need to start with the limbic system because it's where emotions and survival responses live in our dog's brains. Okay, so when your dog hears a noise, their auditory system sends a signal straight to the amygdala. If the amygdala perceives threat, it activates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal, the HPA axis, okay? And it floods the body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And this is called the acute stress response. And you'll be totally familiar with the concept of this. It's the fight, flight, or freeze response, right? Everyone's aware of what this is and what it does to the body. And here's the really important thing to remember about this whole process. Even if nothing bad actually happens, each time this cycle completes, it reinforces itself. The brain says, aha, barking, that worked. That was useful. That helped me. I was alert. I stayed completely safe. And so then that neural pathway gets stronger. And this reshaping of the brain is what we're referring to when we talk about neuroplasticity, which I'm sure is a word you've probably heard before, because neurons that fire together wire together. What gets rehearsed gets reinforced, and what gets reinforced ultimately gets repeated. And before you know it, this is now your dog's go-to response. And the more a dog practices being hyper alert, the better they get at it. Their threshold for reacting like this then lowers, and their ability to recover shortens. And over time, the entire tone of the nervous system just becomes really sensitized. And this is why it can often feel, as owners, like it's just getting worse, even if you've already tried everything, because barking is no longer a behavior, it's just become a reflex. So, what does this actually look like? How do you know if you have got yourself a hypervigilant dog on your hands? Well, dogs with dysregulated nervous systems don't just bark. You might also see constant pacing around the house or across windows, or patrol like behavior. You might see intense reactions to tiny, barely perceptible noises. Difficulty resting generally, even when the home is really quiet and chill. A hyper alert body posture, like having their ears pricked forward and a stiff tail, and that shallow breathing. You might see the rib cage moving quickly and almost hear panting in their breath. They might startle really easily. You might find them just fixating at certain points in your home, like at windows or doorways. It's likely they might be engaging in things like excessive licking or chewing or other little displacement behaviors for their anxiety. And you might even notice digestive upset, like tummy issues, because the gut and the brain are linked via the vagus nerve. So if there is a problem in one area, it might come out as a symptom in the other. The truth is, these dogs rarely look badly behaved. They don't look like naughty dogs. They look overwhelmed. They look a bit wired. They look exhausted, and they need our help regulating their inner world, not just focusing on and correcting their outer one. So before we dive into how to do this, let's make sure we're not doing anything counterintuitive, because the best intentions in the world can absolutely still go sideways if we don't know what we're doing. Okay, so some common approaches that do not work for these dogs include: number one, correcting the barking with noise collars or any kind of aversive. This is just going to add fear to fear and really is the worst place to start with this. Okay. Number two, just saying quiet or shush or shut the hell up, whatever it is you shout at your dog repeatedly. Again, you are asking for a logical response from the limbic system. This is not a thinking part of the brain that is responsible for the behavior that you're seeing. So you're literally you're talking to the wrong member of staff here. You're never going to get progress with that. Number three, and this is a really common one that I see quite a lot: over exercising or overstimulating. So fetch, dog parks, busy social encounters, all of that stuff can make this problem worse. Now, I get what owners are trying to achieve with this approach. You just want to tire your dog out. You think if they're utterly exhausted, they'll come home, they'll crash out, they'll be able to chill. But think about when you're just totally burnt out and frazzled and stressed because, I don't know, there's like a really crazy big high pressure project going on at work. Is it helpful for you in that situation to then finish this crazy, overworked week on a Friday and go straight into a full weekend of manual labor to ease that mental stress? Like, actually, now you've got to go and like dig up your whole garden or paint your house. I don't know. Or are you more likely to need a really relaxing spa weekend with dim lights, body massage, and whale music? You get what I'm saying, right? So all of these approaches ask the dog to suppress their emotional state rather than actually shift it. But this is the whole point. Calm isn't a command, it is a nervous system state. So let's look at what does actually help, and then we can put together some kind of solution structure. Okay, so step one, decompression comes first. Ultimately, most of these dogs are not understimulated. They don't need more of that stuff. They are overstimulated. So first of all, let's dial it all back. Let's skip the chaotic walks, the social overwhelm, the constant stimulation. Instead, take your dog on decompression walks. And what that looks like is, depending on the size and the age and whatnot of your dog, it's like 30 to 60 minutes on a really long line in a quiet, natural setting. Go to the woods, find some fields, walk on your local nature path. Let them just sniff freely. Sniffing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps to lower stress hormones. No obedience, no recall drills, no fetch, no wiring them up, no hard work, just peace and sniffing. Decompression isn't about doing less, it's about specifically doing what soothes. Okay, step two, remember, calmness isn't a cue that we can give, it is a state that we have to set up. So loads of us are asking, but how do I actually get my dog to settle? But the better question is, how can I help my dog feel safe enough to settle? And here's how: reinforce down-regulated body language, those droopy eyes, the slow blinks, the soft breathing, the curved spine. Use relaxed calming techniques, so scatter feeding in really quiet, chilled out areas, licky mats with calming ingredients like mashed banana, pumpkin, gentle massage, or tea touch. If you've never heard of tea touch, Google it, get on YouTube. Put on some really calm background music. These aren't distractions, they are literally nervous system supports. And if your dog starts to show signs of real rest, like yawning, the deep sighs, choosing to go and lay down somewhere that is not, laying on the back of the sofa right in front of the window so they can keep an eye on what's going on over the road, but just fully choosing to disengage for the sake of rest, reinforce that like it's the best behavior you've ever seen. Because honestly, right now, for you, it really is. Step three, build a calmer baseline for your dog in the home. The environment really matters. You cannot down-regulate a dog in a stress-filled space. So let's help your dog's brain to relax by shaping the surroundings. Set up soothing, predictable routines for your dog. Meals at the same time. Gentle transitions from one phase to the other. No chaotic exits or entrances. I highly, highly recommend creating a little like sensory retreat if it's possible. So a covered crate or a soft den space. Think about sound dampening with curtains and rugs and maybe even white noise. Block window access if your dog reacts to outdoor movement. And don't forget, this is really important, and not a lot of people mention this, certainly not a lot of owners really think about it. You need to regulate your own energy too. Your nervous system co-regulates theirs. I think I've talked about this in previous episodes, how in tune with one another we are, how linked we are after, thousands of years of cohabitation. You really do signal to your dog whether it is safe for them to relax or not. So the calmer you are, the safer they feel free to feel. And remember, you can't train your way out of dysregulation. I think I've said this a lot of times in this episode already, but it's really important. I want you to cement it in. But you can create an environment around your dog that leads their brain towards that feeling of safety. Okay, so let's recap. If your dog won't stop barking, it is not because they're naughty. It's because their brain is saying, I'm not safe yet. And it's up to us as owners to listen to that message and gently show them a different way. Decompression, co-regulation, environmental safety. These aren't quick fixes, but they are genuine fixes. They are true solutions. With time, with compassion, with a new lens, your dog's nervous system can heal. And when safety really lives in the body, that silence that you are so desperate for in your house, that will come naturally. So if this is a problem that you are genuinely facing right now, I would love for you to commit to giving this a go for 2 weeks and just see what shifts. And as ever, if you need extra support with any of your dog's current training or behavior struggles, you can always head to the website listendogtraining.com. You will find training plans, guides, workshops, and tools to help you guide your dog into calm, confident living with ease. And because I love you so much, you guys can get an extra 10% off with the code podcast10. Okay, I have probably gone on for long enough on this topic now. So I really hope you found this podcast episode helpful. If you did have any amazing aha moments, or you've got an idea for something that you are going to try with your dog, or a change you're going to make, if this has applied to your personal situation anyway, I would love for you to let me know what clicked for you. You can always DM me, tag me on Instagram. I'm at Listen Dog Training, or even leave a review on the podcast itself. It makes my day truly, truly every time I see a new review pop up. Thank you so much for letting me come on your dog walk today. I hope you've had a fabulous one. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if this episode was helpful. And as always, I will see you same time next week for another episode of The Walk and Talk.